Hello everyone, my name is Alain Benitez and I will be showcasing you the work I did in project and portfolio 3. So let's get to it. In week 1, we had to create a newsfeed project. We accessed a file hosted online and pulled data from it to populate 3 different articles. We used Ajax to load that data, which was hosted online, and I used a loop to iterate through the data and populate all 3 articles by only writing the code once. So this is the code that makes everything happen. I load up the data using an Ajax. I grab that data, parse it to be used like an array. Then, using a for loop, I go through the data each time and grab the necessary information to populate the image, title, description, and that creates what you see in this image. For week 2, we had to create a gallery project. Again, using Ajax, I pull data from another server to populate the image, title, and description of a gallery. Using event listeners on the next and previous arrows is how I change the image, which also changes the title and the description. So here we use again the Ajax. We load that data, we parse the JSON file, and we grab the necessary information to write out the first image. We save all the image URLs, the titles, the descriptions into arrays. So when the next and previous arrows are clicked on, we iterate through the arrays, check which URL is currently active, grab the index of the URL, and then either add or subtract from that index to grab the next image, and and at the same time that same index is the one used to grab the title and the descriptions. This is the previous function, and these functions are used in event listeners when either the first or the next or the previous button is clicked on. So for week 3, we had to create a form validation project. I created a contact form that asks the user to leave their information and ask a question about longboards. Using event listeners on each of the input fields, display an error if the user tries to leave it blank. The form would not let you submit unless all input fields are filled out. So let's say someone clicked on this, typed in their name, clicked on email, skipped it, then an error message would pop up saying this field is required, and unless all 4 fields have some type of input, the submit button won't light up allowing you to submit. Once it is all input fields are filled out, submit button lights up. If when you click on it, a message would pop up saying thank you for your time, and we'll get back to you in a certain amount of time. Let's look at the code for that. So I changed the header, I changed the paragraph description with the validate form function. I check whether all the input fields have some type of information. Once they are all filled out, then the submit button is allowed to be clicked on. And finally, in week 4, which is still a work in progress for me because I have encountering errors that I am trying to fix. We had to access an API and pull data uh, needed to we had to grab at least two images and text to go with the image. So let's look at the code I have so far. So have the URL, which is the API. Um, my theme was longboards, so it was kind of tricky for me to have an API that would match my theme. So for this one, it's just random users, which I am using as basically pro skaters. Uh, the fetch function uses the URL. On my browser, it was giving me an error that said the cores blocker was enabled, so I used the mode no cores to work around that. Then the function response return grabs the API data and grabs it as as a JSON. Then we grab that data and turn it into an array to iterate through it easier. But my first error was the cores blocker. Then after I got around that, I was getting an error saying that JSON was not working. Uh, I used a different API at one point, which didn't stop there. However, then it would give me an error saying that the .map function wasn't valid. So this is just a work in progress for right now. Uh, Thank you for listening.